If you were to rewind, would you go back and start with the low price? Because to me, that creates kind of that initial momentum.
Yeah.
But would you do that again, or would you start with a higher price?
So I think that we would maybe intentionally, uh, I think we would start with a high price, but just discount the heck out of it for those first 10 customers and say you get it for 90% off. As opposed to us, just the list price was 90% less than what we ended up having. And
Mhm.
it was much harder for us to either A, validate that they know that this is going to be, you know, much more expensive. Because if you're
Mhm.
and this was something that was like $200 a month versus like 2,000 a month. And so
Mhm.
I think it was giving us some false sense of product market fit when someone's like, of course I'll pay $200 a month for this.
It's a no-brainer. I
It's
don't
a
have to think about
no-brainer. But then we didn't, and I think in the very early years, you're really trying to prove product market fit, and it kind of
it.
gave us false positives. Now, luckily, when we said actually, it's when we started a new cohort and said this is 2,000 a month, and they didn't blink, we felt much better saying, okay, we definitely have product market fit. We can build a recurring, we can build a sales model around a $24,000 ACV.
Mhm.
You can't build like a sales model with SDRs and AEs at a $200 a month to month model. And so
Yeah.
so I think that was kind of gave us some fake data. And I would just
Mhm.
doing it again, or other advice to founders, and still say that it's 24K a year, but you're going to discount it down for your first 10 beta customers, and they're going to only have to pay you know $2,000 all in for a year, and they'll get it because of their early user. But also knowing that it's going to go up too, because that was also
Mhm.
something for a first couple dozen customers. We had to like slowly increase them because we couldn't at renewal 10x them. So we're like, actually, it's
Mhm.
gonna go up, 2x and then 3x. So there was a bit of like we had this cohort of early customers that took a while to right size.
Right. Yeah, because you don't want somebody. Yeah, if you've raised prices for everybody else to 10K a month, you don't want
Yeah,
a few stragglers at 200 a month.
exactly.
Yeah, I hear you. So advice would be kind of more start with a higher price, discount it heavily for the first customers. Would you ever talk about a kind of a laddering system, like 5 years to full price kind of deal,
I
or
think
is
it makes
that
sense. I think you can
getting
get
too
creative
complex?
with that, especially if you can get some early commits for customers to say, hey, if you want to commit to 2 to 3 years, then you can keep this price with only a modest kind of improve cost increase.
Mhm.
But I think ultimately those first couple dozen customers, you're really just trying to see usage and onboarding and learn as much as you can. Is it going to break? Is it buggy?
Mhm.
Are they going to be early referral customers? And then quickly move out of that kind of like beta phase to then having conviction that you can go sell it for 30 grand a year and not have to drop your pants on price, and show the value.
Mhm. And then it wasn't until 5 years later that you realized, hey, we're leaving a lot of money on the table here.
Well, the 5 year later pricing and packaging learning was, I don't know if it was leaving money on the table. It was just like how do you want to evolve pricing? We could be charging the same, but instead of a per user model, maybe it could have been unlimited users and it's per recipient, or
Mhm.
per campaign you're using, or a usage model, or could have been or maybe it's different seats. Like if you're a sales user, you pay this price, but if you're a marketing user, you pay this price. And so it's
Mhm.
more, there's just a lot of variations on how pricing can help with land and expand, how pricing can help with retention, how pricing can help with reducing friction for onboarding more users. Um, and but all those things just like change these scenario planning models that you look at every year. And so I think there was a trade-off of like, well, we had this, year two model that looked good. Like, let's just double down and do it again in year three, and nothing's broken. And we're seeing tremendous success and business is doubling or tripling. And so it's easy to like look the other direction. But then, 5 years in, catch up when we're at the 25 million AR mark and being like, ooh, it would be nice if we would have thought about this a little sooner.
Hmm. Yeah, I hear that. Um, if there's a founder that's listening right now and they're just at that kind of $1 million spot and they're looking at, okay, I want to, I got to double or I got to triple. What advice would you have for them?
So I'd say, one is go, go focus on NRR, seeing how you can expand those customers. I think that's really critical. Uh, I'd say building out uh, a repeatable outbound engine, and looking at more modern technology like Clay or other automation tools that can really automate a lot of the data enrichment and outbound at scale. I'm really bullish there. I'd say think through all the different channels and start making sure you're testing more of them. I think getting to 1 million can be very like couple channel focused when you could, maybe there's a dozen channels that you could test out and see what's working for your audience. I think that's critical. If you haven't already started a community of customers, build that community day one, because that's going to snowball for you. In 5 years in, you're going to thank yourself for having such a robust community of power users. I think that's a no-brainer. Um, and yeah, I think some of those, and then, I mean, some of my learnings, think about pricing and packaging, think about product-led versus sales-led. Things seem to be useful too.
Make sure you get a couple sales guide founders as co-founders.
Exactly.